District 10 baseball competition, Warren versus Iroquois. And quite a moment in the annals of District 10 competition. And to talk about it just before the start of the game, we have Don Donato, the chairman of District 10, and Paul Faust, the steering committee chairman for baseball in the district. And I'll bet today is a happy day for you because it's been such a long stretch to have people recognize that baseball, as other sports in high school level, should have playoffs.
That's right, Paul. We felt that the baseball players should have had the opportunity that they have today for quite some time. Don kids me quite a bit. I've been the District 10 steering chairman in baseball. He said for 100 years. It hasn't been quite that long, but it has been about 10 or 12 years. And he said he finally gave me something to steer. This is the first time we've ever had anything to do. But we're happy that the playoffs are a reality now, and we're looking for a fine ball game today from these two very good teams.
To what, Don, can we attribute the fact that it was so slow in coming that playoff competition in District 10 for baseball has been finally recognized?
Well, I think that probably the fact that the girls softball teams for the past 2 years have had a state championship, and there had never been a championship in boys baseball. I really don't know the reason why not. But because of the girls' championship in softball, I think the boys finally demanded equal rights.
Well, there's no room for chauvinism then, because literally the guys are going to have to turn around and doff the caps to the girls for having brought all this about.
Absolutely. Finally, the girls put the pressure on, and the boys demanded equal rights, and we now have a state championship in baseball.
That's good news. Tell me this, are there strength areas in baseball on the District 10 level, any geographic strengths?
Well, I think this Warren team is probably one of the better teams in the entire area. We had 6 teams in these playoffs. Of course, the Erie Metro Champion Academy, the Erie County Champion, which is Iroquois, Sagertown, the Crawford County Champ, Hickory representing Mercer County, and they've been some real good ball games. Real good ball games.
There was almost a good ball game just a second ago. Maybe we should have worn our hats, huh?
Right, this is a good ball club in the field. I coach at Harbor Creek, and we've played here quite a couple times this year. And, of course, they're the champions of our league, and we recognize them as a very solid ball club with really not a weak spot on the field. They have a couple good pitchers. The boy that's going today is a guy that'll give Warren, I think, a good fight. He has a lot of stuff, and he's a heady little pitcher out there. And Iroquois is going to give him a tough battle. I think some people may feel, because Warren looked so good against Academy the other day, that this may not be a ball game. But if they're going to take Iroquois lightly, they may not go to Shippensburg. Iroquois has a good ball club. Harry Farnbaugh has been the coach there for a good number of years, and he knows his baseball, and he'll have these kids charged up.
Now, with all the attention that's given high school level basketball, football, even wrestling coming on now, isn't there kind of a stepchild syndrome with the average baseball player? His future's kind of blasé. He doesn't maybe have the chance to get the recognition on the college level?
Well, I think that's true, although I think the college game has come a long way just as the high school game has. And they're in the process of finalizing the College World Series now. And if you go to those games, you see some real fine ball. I think college baseball in some respects has replaced minor league baseball. We're right here at Ainsworth Field. We know that the Sailors used to be a tremendous team, and they had these stands full. But with the advent of TV and the advent of other recreational competition, minor league ball just kind of went down the drain, and it was a shame. But I think the colleges have picked up much of the slack, and I think as a result, there is more opportunity for a young high school ball player to go on to college and maybe to get himself a scholarship. And I think there are some boys on the field today that there are several scouts in the area who are here today, and I'm sure that they have their eye on some of these boys because there's some good talent here.
Well, we covered the Erie City Championship last year, and I'll tell you, I was amazed at the quality of play because there were some great ball players.
Tremendous. Now, the winner of this game, of course, will go to Shippensburg for the first state championship in the state's history. There'll be 12 teams down there. There are 12 districts in Pennsylvania, and each district will send a team, and they'll begin competition Thursday morning and run through Saturday.
Our winner, Don, will play at 3 o'clock on the 9th of June against District 9, and as of now, we don't know who that's going to be.
The Brockway, Bradford area. In that area.
I understand, yes.
Well, I don't know which or whose forces were responsible, but on behalf of baseball fans everywhere, I want to congratulate you guys on what was a long time coming, District 10 competition and finally state. Don Donato and Paul Faust. Right now, let's get set to play ball.
Champions of the Erie County League. Warren is an independent team. They don't have any league down that way in baseball, but the Dragons compiled an impressive record. Were invited as an independent team. They're 15-1 on the season under Coach Pete Molinaro. Their only loss came to Tech. And, of course, they've won their way through for this first ever District 10 championship game. The winner today will go down to Shippensburg State College on June the 9th to meet the District 9 champions, whoever that may be, in the opening round of the state championships.
Well, there we get a chance, Bill, to see the Iroquois lads come out on the field, as we can see on the monitor. You've outlined, of course, already who they are. Quite a thrill here last year, Bill. We came to do the Erie City Championship, and we saw a tremendous brand of baseball. I'm sure those who don't attend high school baseball games have no idea of the expertise and knowledge of these kids.
Yeah, especially when you consider that this is not really ideal baseball country, and the fact that anybody is familiar with our weather knows that you get a lot of rainouts and snowouts and freeze-outs and everything else in the spring, so you don't get in the competition that you would like normally. But right now, the players are in good shape, and of course many of them will be going on to play in various leagues around here of one kind or another, and so there's a darn good brand of baseball awaiting the fans who can get out in the summertime.
We got a little behind. We intended to introduce these lads as they came out, but we missed the start of the intro of the Warren players. And as is evident right now, we're in the process of seeing all the Iroquois players line up the first base line.
Set the stage for people. Ainsworth Field, of course, is the traditional site of baseball championship games here in Erie. This has been a minor league ballpark in the past, to the days of the Erie Sailors and many other nicknames that they had, affiliated with the Tigers, they were called that. And it's been remodeled somewhat, done over, but essentially it looks the same as anyone who in the past has come on out and seen games here. It's not a particularly good hitter's park, more of a pitcher's park, really. You've got to get the ball out there. They don't just jump out of this place. It takes a good ride to get out. It's got just about equidistance foul lines and about 390 to straightaway center. Now the national anthem.
Well, Bill, we put a special request into the State of the Weather people at WPSX to order this kind of a day. We did that last week, and they came up with it. And we couldn't have a finer day for baseball. There's one catch. The outfielders, I think, will be faced with a nemesis in the form of a pretty stiff breeze.
Breeze blowing out slightly, I think, and also you're going to have a high sky there and a bit of sunshine, which may require use of the sunglasses in the outfield. We'll see if they do that. To continue with the ballpark, in the right field area, you'll notice that's Roosevelt Junior High School over there for people who are not familiar with the Erie area, and that comprises the entire right field wall. There's been a lot of thrills provided in the past baseball over the years to watch somebody slam one off the wall out there and see how far they can go. And that, as I say, moves all the way from the right field foul line all the way to dead center field. And on the left field line, there are tennis courts here at Ainsworth, and they're high fence there down enclosing the courts. So that comprises the left field line. And there go the Braves of Iroquois. wearing the nice double knit uniforms that have become so popular over the past few years. And a gold uniform with black trim.
There's the 375 marker showing against the wall there. Out in deep right center.
There you see Roosevelt panning down to the right field foul line. Jack Byers is pitching for Iroquois today, right-hander with a record of 6-1. He is mostly an off-speed type pitcher. Doesn't have an overpowering fastball. He'll give you a lot of breaking stuff. Relies primarily on that. His catcher, Bob Oatman. That's the Braves battery. They're the champions of the Erie County League, as we said, and of course I think a bit of surprise to a lot of people who didn't think that in the first District 10 championship that we would see teams that some may regard from the Erie area as somewhat as outlanders coming in. They sort of thought Academy, the city champions, would be the strong entry, but Iroquois is here, and so is Warren.
Kind of refreshing too, Bill, in that baseball, I guess, as in a lot of other high school level sports, Sagertown with its complement was in this thing up until just a couple of days ago. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, it goes back for people who always thought of baseball as sort of a small town game type when everybody had town teams way back when, can be refreshed by seeing these two teams and teams like that in the championship. Here's Kelly Johnson, center fielder, hitting .318, right-hand batter standing in. Byers delivers his first pitch, and it's ball one. One thing we're going to be bothered by, Paul, of course, there is no ball strike indicator on any scoreboard here at all, so we're just going to have to keep track of the count and hope the umpire gives obvious signs. That's a strike, 1-1.
Just cut the corner that time.
Yeah, Byers will nibble at those corners and will give you, as I say, a lot of motion and not too much speed. He went around, strike two, 1 ball, 2 strikes. The count on Kelly Johnson. Warren has very impressive batting averages. You look down their lineup, they've got 2 guys hitting well over 400, a couple of 300 hitters. Iroquois depends more on speed and fielding. Bounce foul behind home plate. Count holds, 1 ball, 2 strikes. On deck, Randy Thomas, the left fielder. Top of the first, ball game just getting underway. Jack Byers. 3-quarter delivery, slice foul on the right field line. That'll go out of play. So the count remains 1 ball, 2 strikes. Infield shortened up somewhat on Johnson, who at least they've had a chance to see these other teams as they've come along here throughout the tournament, and they get some idea how they hit. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So Byers gets the first man, Kelly Johnson, to go down swinging, and we've got Randy Thomas hitting .326, the left fielder. Where's number 9?
Got a tantalizing throw there, doesn't he?
He does, the kind that you like to jump up there and say, I can hit this guy, and then wind up going back saying, what was that again? Thomas, left-hand batter. Outside, ball 1. That was probably the fastest pitch I've seen Byers throw. Straight fastball that time. Not much hop on it, and moved it outside. Even faster. So he's starting to go to fastballs after throwing nothing but breaking pitches to the leadoff man, Johnson. He's gone to fastballs on Thomas, and he's 1-1. Cut on a miss, strike 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The count on Randy Thomas. 1 out, no one on. Joe Wozniak on deck. Infield has moved back to medium depth on Thomas. Foul behind home plate. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tech Memorial, the only team to defeat Warren through the regular season, so the Dragons have come in here with a habit of winning. Iroquois very impressive in defending their Erie County League championship and trying to go all the way to the district title. And a slow curve gets him. So the first 2 batters, both down on strikes. And Joe Wozniak, who comes as close, I guess, in Warren as being a legend in his own time as you will see. He's got a batting average of .439. He's been their pitcher to pitch him into this championship. In fact, he is their number 1 pitcher, but they had to use him to get here, so he's not pitching today. He is an all-state halfback in football. He's going to Notre Dame. He swings and misses in strike one. Wozniak is your well-known all-around athlete, and as I say, he is something else. I often refer to him as the finest running back to come out of Warren since me. People don't realize he's the finest running back to come out of Warren since anybody, but it makes me sound good. I like to put myself in his company. He's quite a ball player.
I almost forgot about the fact that you're a Warren High alumnus.
Right. We got the old Dragons out here today. All of us gathered around. Saw a lot of my old friends, in fact, just beforehand. They're the dads of the players, which really makes me feel old. But I did, talking to them. 2 strikes the count on Wozniak, right-hand hitter. Bouncer to short, and the long throw beats him. And so it's 1, 2, 3. As Mike Evanoff throws out Joe Wozniak, the Dragons go down in order in the top half of the first inning, and we'll have Iroquois coming to bat in just a moment.
There's one very encouraging factor involving this ball game, Bill, and that is the attendance, particularly in view that there's not an Erie City team involved, isn't bad at all. There's a nice crowd here.
Yes, it is. It's a good crowd. The Iroquois fans seem to be gathering more all the time. They have a habit of supporting their team very well, and as I said, a lot of people have come up from Warren for this game. And as you pointed out, this is a day to get outside and enjoy baseball. When Iroquois gets up here, they'll be facing right-hander Greg Lyle, who lost 1 game this year. As I say, that's the only game Warren's lost, but he won 3. And Lyle, a little faster, will rely more on the fastball. He'll be facing Mike Evanoff, the shortstop, when we get set to go. Handling Lyle will be Jeff Johnston.
In case you tuned in late, this is the first time ever for District 10 championship playoff baseball, and for that matter, statewide, the first time in the history of high school baseball here in the state of Pennsylvania.
And I think most fans will agree it's a long overdue move, and one that we're very happy. It gives the players a good chance to compare themselves with players from the other part of the state, and I think particularly our players who, as we said, are disadvantaged a great deal by the weather. It gives them a chance to extend their season a bit farther into the warmer months and compete.
And there's something contradictory in the history of it all, Bill, in that baseball has been considered down through the years as the great American pastime, and on the high school level hasn't even been competed on the level of football, basketball, or wrestling, or whatever.
Very true, and on the collegiate level as well. It's very strange. It is until they get to the professional level, and then, of course, the major league level, really, before you really see all that tremendous interest. But it's so surprising when you do see that. But refreshing to see this today, that's for certain. Here's Mike Evanoff, 311 his batting average. Right-hand hitting shortstop, batting out of a crouch. Takes inside ball 1. And you saw that time that Lyle just poured in a fast one. Check him over and see what else he does. Takes a little bit off that pitch and moved it nicely. A big slider almost looked like that. Strike 2. Strike 1, rather. 1-1. No score. Bottom half of the first inning. Mike Evanoff leading off for Iroquois. Mark Broski to follow. 2 balls, 1 strike, the count. Lyle works in a hurry. Swung on a miss, strike 2. Evanoff chopping down on that pitch. 2-2 the count. Ooh, down he goes. You don't see brushback pitching at this level, so that's just a fastball that got away. So it's a full count, 3-2, first full count we've had. No doubt we'll be seeing a fastball right here. Oh, he hit him. Hit him on the knee. I think he's all right. And we'll take time out here as Harry Farnbach comes down and checks him out. And so Mike Evanoff becomes the first base runner in the ball game, hit by a pitch. And a 3-2 count, fastball again, Taylor got off inside. So Mark Broski, the center fielder, hitting .262 on the season, moves in. This time of year, batting averages for baseball players in high school and college level can be somewhat misleading because, of course, they don't get to hit that much. He drops down the bunt. The throw is in the second base, and it's high, he's safe. So Lyle did have a shot at that runner going into second base, Evanoff there, but he got a throw in a little high there, and Whitert went up for it. And as he came down on the fielder's choice, Evanoff moves on to second base, so Iroquois very quickly here has something stirring. Without a hit batter, and a fielder's choice. I think he had a shot at him, Paul, there going into second base, but a little slow and a little high with his throw.
You got to credit the pitcher in one area, and that was that if you notice the track of that ball, it hit one spot in the field and it took a strange hop, and it threw him off a bit, I think.
Yeah, I looking at the infield, and we haven't walked it before the ball game, but just looking at it from here, it looks like there are rough spots out there, Pa. Wouldn't be surprised if we do see some strange hops come up there. Particularly out the area around the pitcher's mound and toward home plate from the pitcher's mound, looks really rough in there. He hurried off and got there very closely, but very quickly, but he wasn't able to get the throw in time. So there's 2 runners on, nobody out, and Chris Descartes, who's hitting .291, the third baseman standing in. And he looks like he wants to drop one down, and umpire John Edler indicates he did touch that ball with his bat, but it just passed by very quickly, and so it's strike 1. So Farnbaugh is trying to move his runners up. That's Harry Farnbaugh, the coach, who's sending out the instruction. Another pitch getting away from the catcher, and the runners are trying to move. There's the throw to third base, not in time, bounding away, and no advance by the runners beyond those points, but on a wild pitch. Going to have to be very arbitrary in our scoring here, I guess, because I don't know where the official score is located, Paul, and it looked to me like a wild pitch, and so I'll call it that. And so Lyle has been troubled with wildness. He's hit one batter, he's thrown one wild, and he's got runners on second and third and nobody out, and a count 1-1 on Chris Descartes. And sure, of course, the bunt is off now. Descartes fouls one back behind home plate, coming right straight down. Catcher Johnston gave it a look and trotted back a bit. Might have had somewhat of a shot at it because it didn't quite reach the netting behind home plate, behind which we're located. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And there's strike 3. Took it looking. High fastball.
Now that's pretty gutsy to be in the shape he was in from a pitching standpoint and come through that way. You're on foreign territory, and that's gumption.
That he needed very desperately. Mark Cutton, the first baseman, he is the hitter on the Iroquois team. He's got a batting average of .433. Inside, ball 1.
I like the way he stands in there, Bill.
He stands in like a hitter. He looks like one. Close stance. And drives a fly ball to right field. And caught out there, and no advance by the runners. It's a good throw coming in very quickly from Wozniak, who loved that one ankle high. And Wozniak noted for his arm. As we told you, he is a pitcher most of the time. And they didn't even try to move the runner down on that one. He came in the short right field and get it, and it's a good thing they didn't try to move him either, because Wozniak was throwing all the way to the catcher. And so out number 2 on a fly to right field, and this puts it up to Jack Byers, the pitcher, who does bat for himself. They do use the designated hitter on the high school level, but Byers, a good hitter too, is a .389 average for the test. Puts one foul, bouncing perilously close to our camera. Right behind home plate.
In fact, right behind, between the camera and the monitor, he almost got either one of them.
Strike 1, the count on Byers, who's got runners done on second and third and trying to do something about it. Another foul ball coming, this one a little higher, but the same result. It's strike 2 now on Jack Byers, right-hand hitting pitcher, who can help himself considerably right here, because a hit with 2 out would mean a run, no doubt. 2 runs, probably. And he nails one to left field, chasing the left fielder, Randy Thomas back, he can't get it. And that's very close. It looked for a moment like he wasn't going to be able to get to that one at all, but he did in time. And so Lyle really pitched himself out of some difficulty here, not without his scary moments, but a fly ball to left retires the side, and there were no runs. 2 runners left on base as a result of a hit batsman and a fielder's choice, but no Warren errors, and at the end of 1 full inning of play, the score is Iroquois nothing, Warren nothing.
And if you just tuned in, you're watching District 10 Championship High School Baseball from Ainsworth Field. Paul Brown for WQLN, along with Bill Shelley. And a premier event in that this is the first time ever on the District 10, or for that matter, the entire state level, where you see playoff championship District 10 and state high school level baseball. A beautiful sunshiny day. About the only thing that would be a detriment would be a fairly stiff breeze in the outfield for the outfielders. And I thought that young lad was going to have a tough time catching up with that one. That spelled to me 2 runs automatically, Bill. But
it looked that way for a moment because he got a late start, a late break on the ball. And as we said, there is that high sky today because there are no clouds at all overhead. Some off in the distance, but none overhead. And a ball jumps out at you very quickly. And it's very easy to be fooled by one and get that late start. And he was able to track it down, though, and save 2 runs.
One of the things that the viewers will want to be alerted to is the fact that we are now negotiating to carry some very fine fast-pitch softball in the month of August. We're now formulating plans. It'll be quite a large event in that many teams from the eastern U.S. will be involved. And you'll be hearing more about that in your printed media and through QLN.
Jeff Johnston, the catcher, leads off for Warren here in the second inning, and a low pitch and scoops down there with a Duffer golf type swing almost and doesn't get it. Jeff's hitting .256. Jack Byers working for Iroquois. High foul ball that will be out of play. No, wait a minute. He got up to it, and that's first baseman drifting over there. It looked like it was going to reach the dugout, but Mark Cutton just kept drifting with it and then reached down at the last moment. So Johnston fouls out to the first baseman.
Now, the wind in that case, Bill, might have played a
I think
role.
so there again. It held it up. It looked like it was going to drift back in the seats as it started back, but stayed with it. Kelly Fredericks, the first baseman, .432 his batting average. We talked about Wozniak. This is the quarterback on the Warren football team that went undefeated this year. Was ranked one of the top teams in the state. Wozniak and Fredericks were 2 of the major reasons. And here they are, 2 of the major reasons why Warren is playing in the District 10 baseball championship. So, got to see the old hometown's got a few athletes running around down there. We used to think that was always the case, but I think they're getting better, to tell you the truth.
What a physique this guy has for all-around sports, huh?
And he's only a junior.
Oh.
Do you know that the college scouts are going to be just absolutely running crazy? He's a great quarterback, as I said, and he's also a basketball regular, and here he is hitting .432 in baseball.
Solid build, but still nice and trim.
Outside. 2 balls and a strike, the count on Kelly Fredericks, first baseman for Warren in a scoreless ball game. We're in the top of the second inning. Jack Byers. Driven between, that'll be the first base hit. Slashed into right field. So after Byers retired the first 4 batters, striking out the first 2, Fredericks singles with 1 out here in the top of the second. And here is John Paul, the designated hitter. He bats for the pitcher, Greg Lyle. He's hitting .294. And talk about a well-built looking hitter. Here's one here. Power, no shoulders. Strike on the inside corner as Byers going to his fastball now. We'll check that runner, Fredericks, on first base. Got good speed. Being held on by first baseman Cutton. And a throw over there. That certainly is not his pickoff move. That's the keep him honest move there. I know you're there.
The cream puff toss.
Yeah. But there goes Fredericks in the drive into center field. Popped up a short there. Looked like it was going to get out a little farther than it did, but just drifting back at shortstop. Mike Evanoff grabs it, and of course Fredericks retreats to first base as we've got 2 down now as Paul, the designated hitter, pops out. And here is third baseman Kevin King, hitting .293 on the year.
Come on, Jackson!
Pretty neat to watch Fredericks pick out that right field slot to pass it through there in that single. Huh? Right-handed batter.
Went with the pitch very well. Drivered in sidearm, drilled to shortstop. Evanoff's flip goes to second baseman, and that is it. So Warren comes up with 1 hit. There were no Iroquois leaders. There was 1 batter left on base, and at the end of 1 1/2 innings of play, the score is still Warren nothing, Iroquois nothing.
We have a lot of fine people to thank for all the cooperation we get to arrange all these WQLN sportscasts. In this case, the District 10 Chairman, Don DiNardo, and Paul Faust, District 10 Baseball Steering Committee Chairman. We had to visit this ballpark just this past week to make a sighting to see what our needs might be, and Elmer DiTullio gave us all the cooperation needed. And Jim DeFazio, of course, always cooperative when we come out here to Ainsworth.
We're going to the bottom half of the second inning, and Lyle, who had his scary moments there in the first inning when he hit the first batter and then threw late to second base on a bunt and had 2 runners on, and with a wild pitch moved them up to second and third. 2 runners in scoring position and nobody out, and then proceeded to get a strikeout and 2 fly balls and get out of the inning. Now faces Bob Oatman, who is hitting in the number 6 spot, but on the season is suffering. He's only got a 119 batting average. In the major leagues, that's one that you hate in this days of electronic scoreboards. They post the batting averages. That's the kind you hate to see posted. You know, you wait, get up there in a hurry and swing quickly to get that batting average off the scoreboard. It's easy to get a low average, though, as we said, because they don't get to bat that many times and a few line drives that are caught, etc., and it can make you suffer.
John Edler doing his homework at the plate.
John has been behind home plate for, this is, of course, the first District 10 championship. I guess it's fitting that he's there because he's been behind just about every other kind of championship game we've had in baseball around this area. And once again, Lyle comes high and tight, and Oatman displayed his cool, I thought, by just simply ducking below it. Most guys would be down there eating chalk dust about that time, but Oatman just ducked underneath it and saw him go up and stand in there.
One advantage, though, Bill, when there's a wild pitch here, it's in the defensive team's advantage. The ball ricochets off the cement and comes back to the field.
Right. Still playable. And a little low ball, too. Lyle, as we said, has relied on fastballs almost exclusively, while Byers has been mixing them up. High foul ball.
Souvenir for one of the kids out around, what, 24th, is that?
Yeah. Count my streets here. I think it probably are about 23rd, 24th. Have to be. That one right down the middle, so it's 2-2 count. Oatman not offering. Checking his signals from Harry Farnbaugh. I think it is swing with 2 strikes. And he does. Bouncer going back to second base. Whoa! Much closer than perhaps it should have been at first as it came up there. As the ball just sort of scooted along the ground. Randy Whitert, the second baseman, just waited until he had that one for sure. Didn't charge it and made the throw to first base in time to retire Oatman. And here is John Patton, the designated hitter, who bats for the right fielder, Mark Peterson. Popped up, and there's a pitcher that likes the field. He drops the ball, and he's going to be safe. You can call that one E1. You usually don't see pitchers hurry off the mound to field it, although that was clearly in easy range for Lyle. And he wanted it all the way and called everybody else off and then dropped it.
I think that Sky you were talking about a while ago gave him a fit on that one.
I really feel it that way, and we're not trying to make excuses for him because you can drop fly balls under any kind of circumstances. It happens to everybody up in the major league level, in fact, but it really was. It's a tough Sky to look into, and he looked into it, and I think he was just taking his eye, trying to find it exactly, and it dropped into his glove before he was ready.
Pittsburgh team of the 50s, for example.
Yeah, right.
What'd they call him, the Rinky Dinks?
Ah, yes, the one Garagiola made much mileage out of since. This is Mark Lutz, the second baseman. He leans back from a high and tight pitch. Just about everybody up there has felt the breath of the ball as it moves by him. Keeps you loose. Lutz hitting .207. Got Patton on first with 1 out. We're in the bottom of the second inning, high. Lyle definitely struggling with his control in the early going.
Nice shot from behind home plate. Just a beautiful picture.
And there's a quick move to first. And the runner Patton is back. Patton on board as a result of a dropped pop fly by pitcher Lyle. First error of the ball game. 3 balls, 1 strike. The count on Mark Lutz, the second baseman. Pours it down the middle. He works quickly, does Lyle. Got on and missed. Well, it's a 3 and 2. I got 1 extra strike in there. So he had 3 balls and then 2. And as I said, we don't have a ball and strike indicator here, so sometimes it'll be hit off on it. And there, a high and tight pitch and a walk. The first pass given up in the ball game. sends Patton to second, Lutz to first, one out, and Bill Sanderson, the number 9 hitter, the left fielder, hitting .222. And he'll go down and talk with Harry Farnbaugh, coach of the Braves, before he is going, as we've got one of those summit conferences going on the mound. And I think the words imparted out there, Paul, are something like, get it over.
Well, he's at least keeping the batters alert with that high inside pitch.
Does make you hang loose up there. Don't dig in too tightly. Make you think. The old stories about Ryan Duran, who used to warm up and throw a pitch that just went through everything, and then he'd take off these bottle-top glasses and polish them. You'd see the prospective batter turning green. That guy could hit me and not even know I'm there. Put it right through me. Lyle went outside with that pitch and got it on the outside corner. He dropped down a bit, you'll notice. He's delivering almost 3/4 there, not coming over the top, to see if he's changed his delivery now, pitching from a stretch. And again, he hits the outside corner, so he quickly gets Sanderson in the hole, 2 strikes.
I don't know if our ambience mic is picking it up, but John Edler's leather lungs certainly yell out and bellow out that strike.
Swinging on a 2-strike count, popping one foul, and I believe this one will drift out of play back in the seats, and it does. So the count remains 2 strikes. Now in the major leagues, those of you who listen to those major league broadcasts, this is when they say the pitcher goes to work on the batter, but trying to tantalize him. But I think in this level of baseball, mostly you'll see him just trying to get that ball. He just wants to throw strikes right now. He's got men out there, and he does throw a strike, and Sanderson swings and doesn't get it. And that is the second strikeout for Lyle. And there are 2 men down, still 2 runners on, and here is Evanoff, who was hit by a pitch as the leadoff batter in the first inning. And up here with Patton on second, Lutz on first. And Lyle going to work for the second time on him. Took a little bit off the pitch and moved it outside, ball 1. Don't see him throwing too much of the breaking pitch variety, particularly since he's been in trouble in both innings. And that's the type of pitching that has been getting him out of trouble. Strike 1. 1-1 the count. No score in the ball game. 2 Braves aboard, and way outside, as catcher Jeff Johnston had to lean out to get that one. It smacked that glove very well. I think you can. Our microphone's picking up most of that sound. It's a good fastball pitcher. Drilled, and I think it might get through. It does. And let's see, we're going to run it. Collides with the coach, and here comes the throw, but it's to the left side of home plate. And Mike Evanoff drives in the first run as Patton scores. And Lutz moves on to third base. Just out of the reach of second baseman Whitert. And as runner Patton came around third base, Harry Farnbaugh, the coach at third base, as well as the team's coach, and he collided as he swung wide. Harry was trying to give him the go signal, and it was that moment of panic. But the throw came up the line too far, and Johnston, the catcher, had to move up the line to get it, so there was really no close play at all at home plate. So Iroquois jumps to a 1-0 lead, and Broski, who was on the fielder's choice in the first inning when he bunted, and the throw went into second base too late. Mark Broski batting for the second time, swings and misses. Strike 2. So the Braves keep getting something on there, and finally got a base hit to deliver, and that's the first hit of the ball game for them. Hit stand 1 apiece. There goes the runner, and they're not even going to throw down to second base. Johnson comes out. It was a little bit outside on the pitch, and Evanoff moves down with the first stolen base of the game. So runners now on second and third. Mark Lutz on third. Mike Evanoff stealing second. 1-2 the count, and a drive high in the short left field. And the shortstop moving over and taking it as Jay Dool, and that retires the side. But not before the Braves come up with 1 run on 1 hit. There was 1 Warren error. There were 2 men left on. At the end of 2 full innings of play, the score here now is Iroquois 1, Warren 0.
I have to, Bill, admit a prejudice. Of all the remote sports telecasts we do, I guess I have to lean towards baseball, because in our family it was the family tradition, my dad having been a pro baseball player. And then when he retired, Sundays the whole Brown clan would go to the ballpark in Hazleton to watch the Hazleton pro team, which was then, I think, in either the Eastern League or the NYP. But Sunday in the Brown family was baseball park day, and there's tremendously pleasant memories. So I kind of lean towards this sports remote telecast.
I have to go along with you, Paul. We didn't have pro ball in Warren ever, and but we used to go out to see the semi-pro team play when we were little kids. It used to be a ritual, too, to see a lot of semi-pro baseball around there. And I saw one of the old players from that team here, Nick Criolla, who coached boys baseball when I was playing, and his two boys both went on to become fine athletes, Nick and Tom. A lot of Warren people remember them. In fact, Nick Criolla Jr. is now the head basketball coach at Jamestown Community College and had a pro career in baseball. And I just sort of figured, and I'd see Dad Nick still active and still around a baseball park, and it's brings back, as it does to you, memories when you see that sort of thing happening. Here's shortstop Jay Dool leading off the third inning for Warren, trailing 1-0 here. Dool hitting .276 on the season. Catching that inside corner.
I wonder if John Edler has thought about opera.
John has practiced that voice, hasn't he? Trying for the bunt, doesn't get it. Bad pitch to bunt, actually. It was down a little low. And you got to reach for those kind, and they kick out on you so frequently.
I think John Edler threw a tremendously mean Pagliacci. That's a good question. 7 to 9 innings, Joyce Stewart wants to know. And I think it was 7, if I recall.
7 in normal high school ball, yes. Slice foul by Dool, 2 strikes.
That question is probably initiated by Jerry Vogt, our director. Just looking ahead, wondering how far this thing goes. He wants to make sure.
Yeah. Unless they lengthen it for a special championship game. Normal high school game is 7. Drilled to short. High hop, but Evanoff stays with it and guns him out. Talking about the precipitous infield, and we saw one there, Paul. That one took that last-minute skip off the grass, but Evanoff reached up and got it.
Remember when that happened to Tony Kubek in 1960 in the World Series?
Right in the throat. Who can forget? Randy Whitert, the second baseman, 150 batting average. Randy doesn't swing like a 150 hitter, but pops it up.
Look out, fellas.
When do you see that? The pitcher takes it going away from the mound. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Needed a 3-way stop sign on that.
Right, everybody converging on the ball. And Byers just moving away from the mound like a shortstop taking one over his shoulder. But you want those outs, especially when you're up in front and can visualize a District 10 championship, the first ever. There's 2 down now for Warren here in the top half of the third inning, and here is Kelly Johnson, who struck out in the first inning, but he drilled that one. And it's going to get between them. He's getting 2 and quite possibly 3. He'll never hesitate at second. He'll head for 3. And they're still signaling he wants to go all the way. No, he holds up there. At the last minute, Pete Molinaro says, wait a minute. He thought about going home. But that was as legitimate as a triple, as you'll find, as Kelly Johnston really leaned on that Byers pitch. Sent it right out there into left center field.
Boy, that's the place to put it, too. Right in the channel. He picked it out.
Cut the gap oh so nicely. And here is Randy Thomas with a chance to tie the ball game now. Thomas also struck out in the first inning. One of the few left-handed batters we've seen. So Byers facing his bit of serious trouble for the first time. Eyes the runner. Popped up behind home plate. Let's see if there's a play. There is not. Bob Oatman wheeled and took a look, but no play. Strike 1 on Randy Thomas. 2 down. Kelly Johnson, who tripled just seconds ago on third base for Warren. They trail 1-0 in the ball game. We are in the top half of the third inning. Oh, Byers knocks it down, throws him out, and saves himself a run. So Thomas goes down on a smash back to the box. 1 hit, a triple by Johnson. He's left on base at the end of 2.5 innings now. The score remains Iroquois 1, Warren 0.
One of the recollections I have of going to the ballpark, Bill, my dad having been a professional baseball player, by the time he retired and raised a family, a lot of his cronies went into umpiring. And after the conclusion of the games in Hazleton, if he knew an old friend of his was umpiring the ball game, we'd go down to the locker room after the game, and the umpire would be very kind and present me with a brand new baseball. Now, if you can have any idea of the 30s and what a brand new baseball to take out on the sandlots the next day was like.
Oh,
huh?
That must have made you the king, huh?
Oh, the King Paul, they call me.
Yeah, right, absolutely. Yeah, to get a baseball, still pretty much of a thrill. I picked one up in a Major League press box once. It was one of my big moments. I was covering a game, and it slammed off the back behind, actually, and then bounced up. And as the camera swung up, the game was on TV. As the camera swung up, it came just as the ball bounced into my hands, and I looked so beautiful, Paul. There I was catching that ball. Looked like I had it all the way, and who was I to say no? I waved it to the camera and took full credit for what was really no catch at all. Chris Dekar, who struck out in the first inning, leading off the third here for Iroquois, leading 1-0 in the ball game. He came in hitting .291. And that one rattles the screen in our microphone as it came back. Strike one. Greg Lyle, who's got a great pitching name. Everybody will think, of course, of the Yankees reliever Sparky. Moving inside, 1-1. Certain names, you just sort of figure you have to play certain things. I suppose if your name's Lyle, now you think you're a pitcher. He isn't. That's for sure. 2 balls, 1 strike. The count on Chris Dekar. To third. Oh. And the throw in time as Kevin King took a lot of dirt along with the ball as he came up with that one to throw Dekar out. 1 away here in the bottom half of the third inning. Mark Cudden, the first baseman, who hit a fly ball deep to left last time with 2 men on in the first inning. Last time he was up. Scared him a bit, but the side was retired on that play. And now Lyle moves outside, ball 1. Cudden, a .433 hitter, the best average on an Iroquois team. Low it inside, ball 2.
Made an announcement about a red Pontiac, and John Edler made a move to go move it.
I think it's his. High to right field and drifting back into short right field. Second baseman Randy Weinert puts it away, and there are 2 gone in the third inning. And here is Jack Byers, who flied to left.
John Edler, very kind to us always when we go to Edinburgh, Bill, to set up for whatever the sport remote might be.
Yeah, Jack handles the athletic facilities down there. He's in charge of them. Pitch is low, ball 1 to Jack Byers, a pitcher who hits. .389 batting average will attest to that. And a drive that will also attest to it. But again, played well by, after a moment of hesitation, by Randy Thomas. And Iroquois retired 1-2-3 in the bottom half of the third inning. And at the end of 3 innings of play, the score, Iroquois 1, Warren 0.
For late tuners in, it's District 10 Championship High School Baseball from Ainsworth Field with Bill Shelley on the play-by-play, along with yours truly, Paul Brown. And reminding you again to watch your local sports pages in Northwest Pennsylvania, and for the information on WQLN television and radio for future plans, because we have now in the offing a fast pitch tournament, softball tournament coming up in the month of August, details of which are still being worked out, and when it's all concluded, we'll make the announcement to the local media. Another in the ongoing QLN sports productions. We hope you enjoy them. And as far as I'm concerned, this one today is one of the highlights of the season. Couldn't have had a better day. And as I said, we made arrangements with WPSX and State of the Weather. We ordered this weather last week. By the way, if you are a person who needs information on the weather, you might make it a habit to tune in State of the Weather. Aired weeknights at 6 when they give not what we say, but what the viewers say is the most accurate weather report in all of Northwest Pennsylvania. Another way to show your appreciation, of course, is to become a member in WQLN television and radio. $10 senior citizen or student memberships, otherwise $15, $25, $54, and $100 to help us in our ventures of alternative broadcasting.
Here's Joe Wozniak swinging on the first pitch and drilling it to right center field and dropping in there for a base hit. Wozniak, who bounced it short the first time, didn't waste any time, punching out hit number 3 for the Dragons. And for the first time now, they have their leadoff man on. A chance to go to work on Jack Byers and Iroquois, which leading the ball game 1-0. Here's Jeff Johnston, who fouled out to the first baseman back in the second inning. Johnston hitting .256, drops a bunt down, and it will stay fair and be dropped down there. And everybody's going to be safe as Chris Dekar coming in, taking his eyes off the ball to look to see where the runner was if he had to play at second base, and as a result has no play at all. And you can score that one a sacrifice and E5. I'm doing all the official scoring here because we don't have an official score nearby. And Kelly Fredericks, who singled in the second inning, checks with Pete Molinaro, who, like most high school baseball coaches, will also serve as his own third base coach. He can give him the signals from there, and Pete's going through all emotions, and he's got 2 men on, nobody out. We'll see whether, with his big hitters up here now, if he goes for the big inning. And he is, as Fredericks cuts at that one, but gets up underneath it just enough, and drifting back easily and making the catch, Mark Brodsky, and nobody can move up. As there's 1 out now, Wozniak retreating to second base and Jeff Johnston back to first. And here is John Paul, who popped to shortstop, the designated hitter.
So far, Bill, I'm impressed with these teams. It seems that when they're in the most dire of straits, they recover and come out of it.
They have been able to come through. Pitchers have been really had to bear down. Haven't been too many late moments out there. He fakes the bunt and he pulled back at the last moment. And with 1 out, runners on second and third, designated hitter up. The bunt would seem to be almost a surprise here. At least third baseman Dekar. We'll see whether he creeps in on the next one or not. High inside pitch, forcing Paul to go down. Checking again with Pete Molinaro to see what he wants him to do. Giving him the target on the outside corner. Let's see if he moves there. Oh, he comes back inside. 2 balls and a strike.
Right
2-1 the count on John Paul. .294 hitter on the season. Slap and a high hop. Evanoff looking, won't go anyplace. Back in the hole and just enough of that bounce to mean there was no play. He looked ahead. He had a play ahead of him, a force at third if he could have gone there. But he didn't. He elected to hang on to the ball, and so the bases are loaded with 1 out. And Warren trailing 1-0 in the ball game. Stirring things up. Kevin King, the third baseman, who hit to a fielder's choice.
That no man's land ball is a tough thing to handle. What are you going to do with it?
Right, and perhaps the wisest thing is just hold on to it and don't throw it away and force in a run. Inside, ball 1. Byers has not walked the batter. These runners all aboard. Wozniak single. Johnson dropped on a bunt, which was not fielded by the third baseman, Dekar, for an error. Then 2 on. And now the fielder's choice. Actually, I think we'll give Paul a base hit on that. It was a little too tough to handle. And so call it an infield single that he came up with, loading the bases. And a drive to right. Back, and whoa, reaching out, making the catch, and here comes the runner home. And a sacrifice fly as King delivers to right. Ties the score.
There must be a pretty good entourage from Warren here. They're making a lot of noise.
They certainly are. On the play, Jeff Johnston moved from second to third, so we've got runners on first and third, and Jay Dool, the batter. He grounded to short in the third inning. Time called by umpire John Edler. And let's see what this is all about, as we're going to have a meeting at Taman, and Pete Molinaro is going to take the opportunity to talk to Dool.
We had a nice arrangement in the sport of soccer this year, Bill. Last year we did the Erie Youth Soccer Association games from Barron campus. And this year there were World Soccer games from Britain available. And we got them through the courtesy of the Erie Youth Soccer Association. They underwrote the 4-program series.
Oh, that's very, very good. Pitch inside. You're talking about the traditionalism of baseball that you and I enjoy. And, of course, you see another generation coming along and falling in love with the sport of soccer, which is anything but traditional for us. I know my boy plays in that youth soccer league, and I'm out there every Wednesday and Sunday rooting on his team, the Cosmos. Give him a plug. And you get just as many athletic thrills there, and so the old and the new blend together very well. Bounce towards short. Evanoff will take it and step on second himself. And that force play retires the side, but not before Warren comes up with 2 hits, good for 1 run. And at the end of 3.5 innings, we now have a tie ball game. The score: Warren 1, Iroquois 1.
It was a nice reciprocal arrangement because the Soccer Association, the Erie Youth Soccer Association, in supplying the funds to obtain the 4-game series from Great Britain, served another purpose in that the youth of the association viewed the games, and it acted as a nice instrumental tool to improve the lads' knowledge of the game.
Yeah, and they do really get enthusiastic about it. As I say, I can speak from experience on that. I know my boy asked me the other day, he said, how close is Toronto? I couldn't understand the question. I said, a couple hundred miles wide. He said, how about taking me up to Toronto to see a North American Soccer League game? When I want to go 200 miles to see a professional game, I think it's arrived.
There's a nice shot of the outfield, and there is the edifice, which is the alumnus of Cindy Valamont of the business department at WQLN. Told me the other day that she went to Roosevelt. There it stands. It has been the target of many a power hitter in this park.
That's right, and a lot of guys who went on to Major League Baseball, of course, played in the NYP League in the days when the Erie Sailors and assorted they were the Senators for a while. I remember them, the Tigers for a while, and had some good ball players here and, of course, around the league. And this was the home. And there were lights then, folks, for you who were looking around wondering. They took those down some years ago. And, of course, the field has been renovated slightly since then. We are in the bottom half of the 4th inning in a 1-1 ball game, and John Patton, the designated hitter, leads, Bob Oatman. Bob Oatman leading off, then Patton. Oatman slapping one into left field. And Thomas, who's been busy moving around out there, comes in.
Take him for a ride.
And now it's Patton. Patton hitting .212. Reached on an error by the pitcher, dropping his pop fly in the 2nd inning, and then worked his way around and scored the only Braves run, and he moves out of the way of that inside fastball that seems ever present when Lyle is on the mound. Lyle on the season, 1-3, lost only once, and that was the only loss that Warren had in 16 ball games. Tech Memorial did that. That'll go foul.
Well, that's a way to place it if you can keep it inside the line, Bill.
Yeah, if you can. It actually, of course, is the case here. The pitcher's a little faster, and he didn't time it very well, just sliced it down the line foul. But if he can do it, it'll cause the outfielders. I see the outfielders are almost shading him a bit toward right, despite the fact that he is a right-handed hitter. They know how fast this pitcher is. He just reached for that one. That is known as protecting yourself.
That was a Yogi Berra move, huh?
Yeah.
John, only takes one now.
1 out, nobody on. Last half of the 4th inning, 1-1 ball game. Warren and Iroquois for the District 10 championship. And that one gets by everybody. I think they'd rather have him wild outside than wild inside the way it has been. Swing and a miss. So, down goes Patton.
No, come on my right side.
I got a winner coming across here.
Did you ever see...
Gets himself into trouble right at the start of the 5th inning as he hits Randy Whitert leading off. And here is Kelly Johnson. Struck out in the 1st inning and then got the longest hit of the ball game. A triple to left center in the 3rd, was left stranded there. And And now Harry Farnbaugh checking things over with John Edler. Harry is another one of our veteran coaches around the area. And nobody out. Randy Whitehurst on first base and Johnson the batter. Jack Byers, of course, will have to pitch from a stretch. Looking for the bunt. And a strike and a throw to first, and that might be a close play, but he's back. Whitehurst scampering off and not afraid to throw. Bob Oatman showed a good arm and gunning down toward first base. Strike one on Johnson. Looking again to Coach Pete Molinaro. See whether the bunt is still on. It is. And he pops it foul off to the right. No play for catcher Oatman. 2 strikes. And of course, with 2 strikes, no doubt the bunt will come off. And we will see Johnson swinging away. Byers in the mood of all pitchers, taking his time now. Saves it, just slicing it foul behind home plate. Still 2 strikes on Kelly Johnson.
I'd like to see a batter stay in there, and if he thinks that ball is going to be questionable, just get a piece of it and stay alive.
High inside, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Whitehurst on first, nobody out. Top half of the 5th inning. In a ball game that is moving along very rapidly in a 1-1 tie. Sliced down the right field line. Late break, falls in. Late break by the right fielder, Mike Peterson, and couldn't come up with that as it was sliced late down the right field line. And so Johnson gets his second hit of the ball game. Whitehurst, who had to hold up to see whether or not it would be caught, moves on down to second base. And here is Randy Thomas, who struck out and then bounced back to the pitcher. As a matter of fact, he didn't exactly bounce that one back. It was a line drive that Byers was able to knock down and then throw him out. So 2 men on, nobody out, and Warren again threatening to break through here. As Thomas drops down a nice bunt, and the only play is to first base. They take him there, but the runners move up. So Randy Thomas, sacrifice. And over to third goes Randy Whitehurst. Kelly Johnson moves down to second. Runners on second and third with just 1 out. And here is Joe Wozniak, who grounded to short and then singled in the 4th inning and came around to score Warren's lone run thus far in this 1-1 ball game. The big hitter, and he just loops one to shortstop, and Evanoff reaches up and gets it, throws over to second, but not in time there. But that was a big out, It's Wozniak, who jumped on the first pitch the last time up there, went for the first pitcher, high pitch, and he just reached out, but the little looper went right to shortstop. And Whitehurst back to third, Johnson back to second, and Jeff Johnston is up. He fouled out to the first baseman, then he tried to sacrifice, and Descartes made an error on it, which contributed to Warren's unearned run. Back in the 4th inning, and he's up here now with strike 1 on him.
I think he wanted to hit Roosevelt with that one.
He did. With 2 men on, both in scoring position, he swings again on an outside pitch and doesn't get it, so 2 strikes. Now we'll see whether Byers gets over anxious, or here's where coaches will let you know if you're gonna miss outside. Don't come up in there where he can usually wheel it out on you. He swings and misses, and Byers pitches his way out of extreme amount of difficulty. One hit batsman, no Iroquois errors, 2 men left on, and at the end of 4.5 innings of play, we still have a 1-1 tie, Warren and Iroquois.
And you can see that determined look of that young lad as he came down off the mound and headed for the dugout. Other recollections as I watch this game, Bill. Some pleasant memories of watching many an Allegheny College baseball game on one of the finest baseball diamonds you'll find anywhere. And then maybe after the game, sitting around in the grass and listening to Bob Garbark tell about some of his days in the major leagues, particularly some of those days that he spent with Dizzy Dean. He has some of the finest mementos, humorous anecdotes you'd ever want to hear about the game of baseball.
That has to be. Bob, of course, was a major league catcher, and he turned out some pretty darn good ball players, including one of the finer infielders to play, Glenn Beckert, who played a lot of major league ball for a number of years, an Allegheny product. Bob has a habit of turning out good baseball. I guess that's a lesson for all of us, Paul. As you say, there is a lot of good baseball being played around this area. We mentioned Sparky Lyle because of the name similarity with Lyle throwing here for Warren, and although I don't know that there is any relationship, and don't believe there is, Sparky is a Northwestern Pennsylvania boy, and so you will be seeing some guys who have the potential of being future major leaguers as you get out in your area and watch a number of people play. And this one, of course, is for the first ever District 10 high school championship.
And we'd like to hear what your viewpoints are on this ball game, or for any matter, any of the sports telecasts that QLN brings about each year. Why not drop us a line? Better yet, become a member and help us further in our sports quests.
Here is Bell Sanderson, a .222 hitter on the season, who struck out the first time and takes strike one there. Number 9 hitter in the order for Harry Farnbaugh's Braves. High outside, ball 1. We followed by Mike Evanoff. And then Mark Broski as the Braves bat here in the last half of the 5th inning. Hits the outside corner. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Notice how quickly Lyle works. Gets that ball right there and ready to go. High pop fly in the infield. Waiting, Kelly Fredericks. Ooh, staggers a bit underneath it, but takes it for out number 1. Mike Evanoff, who's been aboard twice. Evanoff was hit by a pitch as the leadoff batter, and then in the 2nd inning, singled to right center to drive in the only Brave run of the ball game, and then proceeded to steal second base. So he's 1 for 1 with an RBI. Watches it, hit the outside corner, strike 1. Lyle, as you noticed in the early innings, was coming inside, and more he's been able to locate that outside corner. No play, strike 2. So Lyle, who, as we said, wastes no time here in getting Evanoff in the hole. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, or rather 1 out in the last of the 5th. Evanoff just sort of leaned back, and actually the pitch wasn't that much inside. That's what that good high-tide fastball will have you doing, backing you away. High pop foul out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Presume the fans heard that delayed action smack on top of the roof.
Yeah, I've got my car out there someplace, and I shudder when balls head back in that direction. Way outside, ball 2. 2-2. The count on Mike Evanoff with Mark Broski on deck. Iroquois 5th in a 1-1 tie. Greg Lyle. That one came just above our camera located behind home plate. The cameraman leaning out of the way on that one.
Mike Snow did a little dipsy doodle there when he saw that one come back.
Yeah, he was ready to hit the dirt, or the cement in this case. Still 2-2. Well hit to left field, backing Thomas up, but he's waiting, and he hasn't. So Evanoff retired for the first time, 2 out in the 5th inning, and here is Mark Broski, who was safe on a fielder's choice in the 1st inning and popped to short in the 2nd. And so, after early, very rocky going in the 1st and 2nd innings, Lyle has settled down and now has retired the last 9 men in order. Hasn't let anybody aboard since Evanoff singled to drive in the run back in the 2nd inning. Ball 1. Swung on, missed. 1-1. On the infield. Waiting. King has it. And again, the Braves go down 1-2-3. And at the end of 5 innings of play, the score: Warren 1, Iroquois 1.
And with that, Bill, we'll get back to Ainsworth Field for the continuation of this game right after station identification.
Okay, we're back here for the top of the 6th inning in the 1-1 ball game, and Kelly Fredericks will be leading off for Warren. He singled and flied to center field, so he's 1 for 2. Stepping in, a little bit of a delay there while we changed tapes, and fans went along with us, didn't throw anything at us, and we appreciate it. And Fredericks doesn't waste any time. He rips one in left center. And he's gone for 2, for 3. And he'll make it standing up. Kelly Fredericks leading off the 6th inning with a triple. That's the second triple for the Dragons. They couldn't cash in one but earlier in the ball game, but that came with 2 outs. And now he's on third with nobody out. And John Paul, the designated hitter, up there. Paul popped to short and then got an infield single when he hit one deep in the hole, and Evanoff couldn't go anyplace with it. Credited with a single, so he's 1 for 2. And he's standing up here now with the go-ahead run down on third base. Nobody out. Byers works and just misses that outside corner. Ball 1. So the Dragons, who seem to be getting stronger as the game goes along, threatening again is Byers, who has been equal to most every challenge here, weakening only once. Pours in a strike to make it 1-1. And very quickly, you notice how he breaks off the mound and come up there in the event that that pitch got by the catcher. With Fredericks down on third. But Oatman handled it. 1-1, the count on Paul, the DH in the Warren lineup. That'll be a base hit, though, and it'll drive in the go-ahead run. Just beyond the second baseman. Paul comes through with his second hit. And Warren leads 2-1. Warren losers only once this season, as we have said. Jumping ahead here in the chance to become the District 10 champions in the 6th inning, which is late in the high school ball game. And here is Kevin King, who hit into a force play, and then the sacrifice fly to right in the 4th inning that drove in the first Dragon run. Up there with Paul on first and nobody out. Quickly to first by Byers, but Paul had not strayed too far from the bag and was back easily. Time called momentarily. Now we're set. Faking the bunt, throw to first. They got him off. They tag him. He's out. As Oatman gunned it down, cut and turned around for a moment, I didn't think he'd locate the runner. As he sort of took it with his back to the runner and then spun around, but far too much of a stray by John Paul, and a good play and a big play by the Braves, too. As a play 2-3. Catcher Oatman, the first baseman Cutting, and they pick Paul off.
And I'll doff my baseball cap to the direction and camera operation there. That was very sudden, but we were right on it on the monitor there. I saw it.
Got a good picture of it. Of a pretty play. High outside. 2 balls. Let's see what the count is there. Check it, umpire Edler keeping the ball strike indicators. We told you no scoreboard here, so they don't put it up. Strike 1. Jack Byers, who's borne down before to get out of serious difficulty. Hoping to save himself further damage here is a slice into right field. And off that wall of Roosevelt, headed for 2 and beats the throw. Kevin King doubles off the wall in right field. That brings up Jay Dool, 1 out. And now that pickoff play at first base even more important, because they would have runners on second and third with nobody out, except for that fine throw by Oatman.
And if it were Eno Slaughter who would have run from first base, he would have scored.
Yeah, right.
Remember his antics?
Yes, right. That takes you back to the 46 World Series. Somehow those series back in those days stand out more than the ones they played the last 2 years with me, which might be a sign of encroaching age. Outside, Jay Dool, who bounced to short and grounded into a fielder's choice his 2 times. 0 for 2. Here with Kevin King on second base. 1 out in the 6th inning, and that one came right back for our camera. They are getting closer to that all the time, too.
They want to either get our camera or Mike Snow. Now, which one they're after, I'm not sure.
I don't know, but Mike has a preference, I'm sure. Duell's another fine athlete for the Dragons. Plays just about every sport and plays them well. Remember, his dad, Bruce, was a good athlete, too. I'll plug him because he's another old friend of mine. Oh, all my friends are old now. Jack Byers working from the stretch, eyeing the runner off second base, then delivers outside. 3 balls, 1 strike to count on Jay Duell, and Byers, who's been through a hectic week, as have all these players in this District 10 championship, perhaps getting a bit tired now. As there's a ball drilled to second base, and he tried to take it himself. The shortstop actually was off. And there wasn't much Mark Lutz could do besides go over there and try to beat the runner back. Otherwise, if the shortstop had been right there, they would have had a double play. But he got 1 out on the liner from Jay Duell, jumping on the 3-1 pitch, lining it to second base. And now Whitehurst bounces one and dropped by Evanoff, and everybody's going to be safe. Randy Whitehurst safe on the air by shortstop Evanoff. And so we have runners on first and third now, as, of course, Kevin King, running on the 2-out delivery, moved on over to third. Here is Kelly Johnson. Struck out, then tripled and singled. He has looked strong up there. And the Dragons, of course, would like so much to cash that runner in from third base, because a 2-1 ball game and a 3-1 ball game, there's a great deal of difference. You can do a lot more things when you're in front by 2 runs. A bit of paper blowing across the outfield, but they haven't stopped it as Johnson pops it up on the infield. Byers wants it himself and takes it for the 3rd out. But not before the Dragons get 3 hits and cash in 1 run. And at the end of 5.5 innings of play, it's now Warren 2, Iroquois 1.
Don't forget, we'll be releasing eventually the plans for WQLN coverage of a fastball tournament, which will be held in Erie, Erie being the host city, during the month of August. Complete details as regards which teams and from which part of the eastern United States participating. We'll have all those details for announcement a bit later. But it definitely will be on the roster for coverage by WQLN Sports, which, again, this year has enjoyed bringing you a diversification of all kinds of sports, from the high school level, college, independent, or city, community, whatever it might be. And we enjoy doing them. If you enjoy watching them, why not send us a line? And better still, become a member of Public Broadcasting of Northwest Pennsylvania, which comprises WQLN television and radio, for alternative viewing. And upcoming in a very short while will be a campaign on WQLN FM radio in the form of a membership week, when we'll be urging Northwest Pennsylvania, Ohio, New York State, and Southern Ontario viewers to help support the FM part of our broadcast operations with fine classical music, drama, and a lot of other fine alternative broadcasting.
Chris Dekar, third baseman, leading off for Iroquois. Bottom half of the 6th inning. He struck out and gone to the 3rd. And Paul, almost unnoticed in all the problems surrounding Lyle's pitching with his wildness in the first 2 innings, is he has thrown a 1-hitter so far. That single by Evanoff that drove in a run, the only hit he's given up. And he has become increasingly stronger, as we've been reporting. He hasn't given up anything. No bases on balls. No one has been on base since Evanoff's single, that lone hit, which was a clean hit, back in the 2nd inning. And, of course, now he's pitching with a lead 2-1. And Dekar drives it foul behind home plate. They are having trouble timing his delivery. And if he doesn't become tired, and that ball is drilled to left and drifting over foul. Thomas going for it and can't get up with it. So it's a long strike. Dekar to be followed by Cutton and Byers here in the Iroquois 6th, the heart of the order. And perhaps the best opportunity then for the Braves to get back in a ball game that they led 1-0. But in that 6th inning, Kelly Fredericks tripled. John Paul singled him home. Paul was then picked off first base. Kevin King doubled, but Then Byers settled down and got out of the inning. And that one looped, and it might fall in. And a beautiful catch. Playing shallow, and they had him played well. That one looked, as it started out, like it was certain to just loop over the second baseman and fall in, but instead, just waiting, Kelly Johnson came in and took it right off the ground for out number 1. And here's Mark Cadden, who has flied to right and popped to the second baseman. He slices it foul down the first base line. Greg Lyle, who hasn't allowed a base runner since the second inning, pitching here in the last of the 6th. High inside. Low. And the Braves, of course, about this time, I think are hoping for someone to return to that wildness that he displayed early in the ball game. But remember, he's walked only 1. Low again, outside. 3-0.
Do we have visions of Christmas past here?
Swinging on it, popping it up. Again, Lyle moves quickly off the mound. He's an extra infielder out there. He tried that before with disastrous results when he dropped it, but this time he did not.
Did you see
everything's going right?
He got that glove up for shading purposes right away this time.
That time. Here is Jack Byers, the pitcher, who has flied to left twice, hit the ball well on both occasions. We're happy up at Mercyhurst because this boy's going to have to play basketball for us next year. And Paul, I'm sure you remember very well the outstanding performance he put on in the City County All-Star game when he was the MVP. And he again smacks at the left field, but again right there waiting for it is Thomas. And it's a 1-2-3 inning. And so at the end of 6 full innings of play, the score is Warren 2, Iroquois 1.
And it's all coming to you from Ainsworth Field in this, the very first ever District 10 Baseball High School Championship playoff. And indeed, on the statewide level, the first statewide competition, high school baseball, and very welcome indeed for all those stalwarts on district by district who have tried all through the years to bring baseball to the levels of recognition enjoyed by basketball and football, high school wrestling, swimming, volleyball, and it finally has been attained, and our congratulations to those fine people who have persistently kept their efforts up to bring about today.
So Byers goes out there in the top of the 7th inning, trailing 2-1. He's got Randy Thomas, Joe Wozniak, and Jeff Johnston, the meat hitters for Warren, coming up as the Dragons lead 2-1 in this ball game. Was saying that he's a good all-around athlete, and I think he'll concentrate on basketball. Jack Byers, I'm talking about, will concentrate on basketball for us up at Mercyhurst. And Paul, he was deservedly the most valuable player in that game. Even though his team lost, it's very unusual in the City County All-Star game. He was the MVP with a great performance as an outside man, and we've got high hopes for him. We've got a lot of athletes, should point out, who come up there. Some other Iroquois pitchers. Bob Weissmuller went on to the pro in the Pirate organization, and Tom Behrens, who just finished up a good career for us, and Craig Nicholson, young freshman, pitching for us. Right now, Randy Thomas leans into that one. High off Roosevelt. And he'll get 2. And now he wants 3. And the throw in is late, and he dives in head first to get it. Randy Thomas. Triples have seemed to become suddenly the forte of the Warren batters. Last inning, Kelly Fredericks led off with a triple, and he scored the go-ahead run. And now Randy Thomas drives one out. And here comes Harry Farnbaugh, and that might be all for Jack Byers, who I believe is going to be going to another position. Let's see who comes on. Pitch, if we can pick up the number there. And check out, we're going to have some shuffling around. Greg Broski. Greg Broski is coming in to pitch now. And let's see, whether Byers, I believe Byers will go to left field. And I think that's the way they'll switch around with Bill Sanderson coming out of the ball game. That's what they'll do. So Broski, this is the second Broski. Mark Broski is playing center field. This is Greg Broski, And he is coming in to pitch, and he has his work cut out for him with Thomas down on third and nobody out. And Wozniak up, 1 for 3, singled, scored a run. Greg Broski in a season 5 and 3.
That ball was bounced off the area marked at 336, I believe, Bill, wasn't it?
Yes, it is, and a legitimate hit any way you look at it. As Warren's batters have been warming to the occasion, leaning on those pitches. So Harry Farnbaugh's made a switch here, and his team down 2-1. Let's see if they move the infield, and they probably will. They'll try to cut off that run if they can, because they'd like to keep it nice and tight as they've got one more bat coming to them. Last half of the 7th inning. These games move along rapidly. Wozniak now getting set to step in as Broski talks with Oatman, gets things set. Harry Farnbaugh leaving the field. Myers had to pitch in so much difficulty those last few innings that had to take a lot out of him. Slicing on that first pitch, foul. Wozniak has jumped on the first pitch his last 3 times at bat. Singled once, popped up once, and then slicing that one foul, strike 1. He doesn't like to waste any time.
The style of Gene Woodling, wasn't it?
Right, just get up there and you see one you like it. And doesn't he look like a guy that's going to play in the backfield for Notre Dame? He's built like one they can use. 1-1 the count. Broski moves it inside. Iroquois has had good pitching consistently over the years. Farnbaugh develops a lot of good pitchers out there. And Broski throwing hard, comes inside 2-1.
Boy, Wozniak has a seasoned look standing up there, Bill, doesn't he?
This is an athlete, no question about that. Bounces it. Let's see if it gets through. It does. That'll drive in the 3rd run. That one just bouncing up the middle. Thomas scores in 3rd, and the score is Warren 3. Iroquois 1. And Jeff Johnston coming up. Still nobody out. Wozniak on first now. Johnston 0 for 2 officially. He had a sacrifice, reached on an error on that sacrifice, struck out and popped out his other 2 times. Pitch just misses that inside corner, ball 1. As Broski took something off. Wozniak certainly a runner in football. All state credentials attest to that. Let's see if he is in baseball. Bounce. Fair ball. Fair ball. And I don't think they'll be able to do anything with it. As Chris Dekar knocked it down, and both runners are safe, so that'll go as a base hit for Jeff Johnston. 2 runners on, and so Broski, Greg, has been greeted by 2 base hits, both of the infield variety, and has nobody out. And Kelly Fredericks, who's in there with 2 hits, a triple, scored a run, also singled. He slams one to second. Might be 2. 1, 2. A big double play. Turned over very nicely by Mark Lutz, who took it, fielded it himself, stepped on the bag, and went to first. On the play, Wozniak moves over to 3rd. So there are 2 out. Runner on 3rd. And John Paul, who has 1 base hit. That a single which drove in a run earlier.
I'd say that's the epitome of cool when they can pull off a double play under these circumstances.
Right. Lutz knew just how to handle that one and taking it himself at second. Bounce it to short. Evanoff will go to first and get his man. That's a tag of the runner. Actually pulled him off the bag, but Cadden turned around, tagged the runner, Paul going by. And so once more, the Braves are battered a bit as Warren came up with 3 hits, good for 1 run, and stretched their lead to 3-1 as we go into the last half of the 7th inning.
And of course the big test for Iroquois, one more time as they say, to come from behind and try to either tie it up or go ahead in this first ever District 10 High School Baseball Championship from Ainsworth Field. To the delight of the fans present who made the trip from the Warren area, and those of course from the Erie County area, and even further delight for those people who have toiled for so many years to bring this day about on the high school level in Pennsylvania high school sports. We've credited and recognized John Edler. The other umpires, Bill, I'm not too familiar with, and we failed to get a sheet on who they are, but I'm sure their relatives at home, when they see them, will be able to identify them.
Right, we've been giving John the lion's share, but there've been good work all the way around today, and as we move into the last half of the 7th inning, the bottom part of the order for the Braves facing Greg Lyle, who's had allowed just one hit. And they were telling me, Paul, that 54 doesn't reach quite into Warren, but it does over in Youngsville, and a lot of Warren people are going to be going over to Youngsville tonight and watching this game on TV, hoping that they relive something that nobody else has had before. That is a District 10 baseball championship. It's nice to be part of the very first one, and the Dragons are 3 outs away from getting just that. Open, waits, and now it's 1-1.
Come on, Bob, let's go now. Let's go.
Oatman will be followed by John Patton and Mark Lutz. Oh, 2 balls and a strike. You know how carefully he's going to be looking. That big run in the top of the 7th inning, Warren, of course, now leading 3-1. And that means they've got to really stir something up. They have not been able to do against Lyle. Thought they might have an advantage because, as we said, Wozniak is Warren's #1 pitcher. And having gone to get them this far, having pitched on Thursday, he was not available today for that, although he's certainly been hitting, staying in that lineup. And so they had to go with the #2 man, but it certainly hasn't meant a difference as the ball is out there. And great play out there. Looked for a moment like we might be stirring something up here with Oatman. But the Dragons are doing it all right now, Paul.
Yeah, he stayed with that one. That could have very well fallen in there.
John Patton, the DH, who's 0 for 2, although he did reach on an error and score the only Iroquois run. Way outside. At the beginning, it looked like Lyle would not be able to find home plate today, but he hasn't missed it by much. Now he's getting a bit wilder here, perhaps over anxious at this point. 2 outs away from the District 10 championship and hurrying his throwing, although he is a rapid worker in any case. Popped up. Let's see if it's playable. They're hustling for it. Kelly Fredericks comes on and dives and can't get it. And we'll see whether or not Kelly was hurt on that play. He really went for that ball. He might have had an opportunity for it. Called the catcher off and perhaps over-hustled himself into that almost. Hurt his side, no question about it. There's a dirt track that you can see that he fell on there. Dirty uniform, but I think he'll be going in and playing in just a moment.
Well, that's consistent with his style, Bill. From what I've seen here today, he's a lad who will not give up. He's been pivotal in this contest so far, and it was evident right there. He did all he could.
That's right, and those who have seen him quarterback know that college scouts will be living in his living room this year, trying to talk this guy into coming to play for him next year because he's only a junior. There goes Kelly Fredericks back to first base. And 2 strikes now on John Patton. 1 out. Last of the 7th. 7-inning ball games here in high school. 2-1. Short right. Waiting. Reaching up at the last minute. A little bit of heart failure there. Oh. Bit of a scare, but Wozniak does get it. And there are 2 down, and here is Mark Lutz, who was the only recipient of a base on ball, then grounded out the other time.
That floating ball to right field reminded me of QLN's mush ball days.
District 10 trophy, you're going to present that? You're going to get that? You're going to get the District 10 trophy?
Inside. Bounding away from Jeff Johnston. Mark Lutz, the only batter standing between Warren and the District 10 championship. Foul off the screen behind home plate. 1-1.
Leo Harkins of Academy just came up to us and told us they're going to present the trophy right at home plate, so we'll try to hang in there and bring that to the fans. Won't have any audio on it, but we can describe it at least, Bill.
Reaching out for strike 2 and slicing that one foul into the seats. Good collection of fans over there, and they scattered from that one. So, just one strike away from the D10 championship now. The Dragons, Greg Lyle delivers. Bounce towards second. Charging, Whiter, throwing. That's it. Warren's the champion. No runs, no hits, no errors, and Greg Lyle pitches a one-hitter, and the final score is Warren 3, Iroquois 1. As a result, Warren is the District 10 champion, and they'll be playing on June the 9th against the champion of District 9 at Shippensburg State College in the first ever state championship series.
Would you say we have a bunch of happy Warrenites on the monitor? Looks like a college football huddle.
Indeed, and they have to be. As we said, most of these guys are on that football team that went undefeated and was one of the top-ranked teams in the state, and probably the finest football team that Warren High School has ever had. And here they have the first ever District 10 championship baseball team, and they also advanced in the District 10 basketball championships as well. We're playing the preliminary game against Hickory in a game that we didn't televise. We did the second game, but we did the girls' championship and the boys' championship, but they played for third place. So what a year they've had in athletics. And a lot of these guys have played on all three teams. So I guess it shows you once again that in high school particularly, an athlete is an athlete is an athlete. And there's a good bunch. And Pete Molinaro deserves congratulations. His team is now 16-1. And certainly Iroquois played them a fine ball game, coming out as Erie County champions and playing all the way to their finals.
Here comes Don Donato, the District 10 chairman, headed towards home plate, holding that championship trophy. And he'll be coming into your picture here very shortly. He's walking. There he is, Don Donato holding the District 10 baseball championship trophy.
And it's going to go to the Dragons of Warren, who we will recap while we were here. Iroquois scored first in the second inning when a drop pop fly by the pitcher allowed John Patton to reach a base on balls, and then a single by Mike Evanoff, which turned out to be the only hit for the Iroquois, and they were up 1-0. And then in the fourth inning, Wozniak singled, a sacrifice, and Jeff Johnson reached base safely on an error. Then a sacrifice fly eventually scored them after an infield single by John Paul.
Well, Paul Faust just made the announcement on the PA system. As they prepare to make the award. Oh, we've got a mic down there now, Bill. We won't miss a thing.
Okay.
Don Donato has a mic. And here come the Warren Dragons out on the field.
Pete's bringing the whole team out there. They're lining them all up. The winning run actually scored in the sixth inning on a triple by Kelly Fredericks, followed by John Paul single. They had another run in the seventh the same way. Randy Thomas tripled, Joe Wozniak singled.
On behalf of the District 10 committee, it's my pleasure to present the District 10 Championship Trophy, the first in the history of the PIAA, to the Warren Dragons, and best of luck as you move into the playoffs in Shippensburg next week, Coach.
We thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be here, and we got to give Iroquois a lot of credit. They played a tremendous ball game. We thank everybody connected with it. We really appreciate it.
Congratulations.
So the words of Pete Molinaro, who's coached the first ever District 10 champions. Little trophy there, a good trophy there for his guys, and our thanks to everybody. We really enjoyed it. We had a perfect day, as you pointed out, Paul, and now there goes the coach, and there go the champs.
That's the one chance the players have for the season to put their coach up in the air, Bill. And with that happy scene here at Ainsworth Field, Paul Brown speaking for Bill Shelley, WQLN Sports, from the District 10 final, as Warren walks away with that crown over Iroquois. Hope you've enjoyed it. Until the next WQLN Sports remote, so long from Ainsworth Field.